Habertürk'ten herkese merhabalar. Ben İrem Kuşoğlu Görgü. İş Bankası 100. yılını kutlamak ve Atatürk'ü anmak için gerçekleştirdiği Atatürk Vizyonuyla Gelecek, Yüzyıla, Bakış konferansının ikincisini çok değerli konuklarla gerçekleştiriyor. O konuklardan biri olan Apple kurucularından bilgisayar bilimcisi Steve Wozniak'la beraberiz. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, I'm honored to be selected for this.
Thank you.
Distinguished group.
So, in the 20th century, and of course in the 21st century, you are one of the first names that comes to mind when it comes to entrepreneurship. And so what do you think? Is it easier or harder to build a brand like Apple in the 21st century? And what kind of differences and challenges do you foresee in the 21st century?
Well, looking back to when I was kind of like starting things, it was like I was so young and so knowledgeable about business and brands and all that. I just thought anybody starts a company with a good product and the company keeps its name forever. No, building the brand, really getting people's awareness, appreciating us for why we were doing what we were doing, and the products were really bringing a type of joy to a world that used to be very technical. So I don't know. I'm just glad for how the brand got established. It's just an incredible thing. And Apple has a lot of other brands that go along with it, like iPhone.
And today there are arguments about big tech companies has more power even than the governments. This actually main reason of this is data. Do you think that companies having access so much data stifles innovation, or does it create new opportunities?
I am pretty much against big tech being so large and being controlling like a government. And it's like everything you buy in the old days, you owned it. It might be a record, it might be a car. And nowadays you buy something and you don't really own it. You have to have subscriptions, you have to have accounts, it goes through the cloud. So basically how it's going to operate, you can't even set it up your way, and because the companies will change it. And I very much disagree with that. We need stronger regulation.
And we are seeing that AI research is growing under 5 companies. And many authorities are saying that this poses a big risk in the future. What is your opinion on this?
I am very skeptical. We need to watch it very carefully because unlike a lot of prior technology advances, it's hard to predict what we're going to get sometimes from AI, but it doesn't really think for itself. It isn't what's going to move the world forward like scientific research and publications. It really just relies on what other people have done, but expresses it so well. We say, oh, that must be intelligence, and I disagree. It's not the same as intelligence in a brain. It is very useful to us, as all computers are. It's sort of the high end, the state of the art of computers doing things for you, but when they make mistakes, it's disastrous. And also, it's a tool that can be used by people trying to do harm, pretending to be other people, deep fakes it's called. And that's really horrible, especially for artists, musicians and actors, and to have themselves now represented by AI, and it's hard to believe what's true and what's not. We should always be, the ethical standards should pervade. What is true? Tell the truth. And it's very difficult with AI today.
And at the tech events, we are seeing that many products are not creating wow effect in people. So maybe the virtual or artificial realities came close to this one, but just that one. What do you think is the reason of this one, and where do you foresee technology trends heading and where they should be?
I think it's related to one of your other questions about the technology being so big. Biggest government, very controlling. They make the decisions inside, and they have the power over little individuals to control it. And therefore, the need for very, very drastic changes, ones that really impress people, is less important than just keeping your sales going. And incremental improvements are more the norm. And almost everything we get, we aren't saying, whoa, how did they think of that? Like, what kind of brain thought that one up? Like it was magic? We're not seeing that much anymore. We are, we're seeing attempts, though. I mean, I think back to like Apple's Vision Pro. I think it's done to the quality that it could become something. It just hasn't had any real software needs yet.
And in the 70s, as a member of Homebrew Computer Club, you shared a common dream, a world that was filled with the personal computers for everyone. And now, today, we see that this has become a reality. So looking back, has it had the same impact you imagined back then? How do you evaluate this?
Well, back then we sort of planned on products that would help people be able to do more than they could without the technology. And we also thought, oh, there'll be a better way for education use. And the person who knew computers would be really important. The geek would be important. And that was true for quite a few decades. But then the internet came, and that spoiled everything. And now everything is the way I described it, where other big companies control you. If you buy a car, Tesla owns the car. They make the decisions about changing things where they were on the screen. We live in a world where we're taught that the brain learns things, but really it's often more that the body learns where things are, where to point, where to tap, and then it changes. The rate of change is just awful, and this doesn't work anymore, and it used to, and now they have a different method. And so I go along living that, and I think a lot of people are living that way. So we didn't dream of that. In the early days of the Homebrew Computer Club, no, that was pretty much true for about 30 years. You bought a computer, you bought software, you set it up, you owned it, and it's always worked the way you wanted, and those days are gone.
And the much discussed topic where technology and economics intersect in the definition of crypto or Bitcoin. As a computer scientist and entrepreneur, do you think is it digital gold or security, or it's just simply a valuable investment tool at this moment?
It's very hard to decide. They say, for example, crypto isn't judged on what it does and what it provides, what really useful products come from it, but then neither is art. So it can be a form of art. Some investors want it. Bitcoin is the only one that's truly amazing. Who owns Bitcoin? Who developed Bitcoin? It's not controlled by anyone. It's all spread out mathematically. All it is a set of mathematics, and I see that as a useful tool even to deciding things like elections and much more in our life.
And lastly, I just want to ask that if you were in your 20s today, which field and area would you pursue as an entrepreneur?
I might be looking into probably deep physics or deep chemistry and how they create new devices, and maybe even like new batteries, which is battery technology is a key item today. So that's what I think. Maybe chips, but chips work on electrons. Electrons are so light and they go so far. They're much better than spinning disks and which are atoms. But then again, photons move a lot faster than electrons. So maybe chips that are made of totally photons, all light directed. I just have an internal interest in that.
Thank you very much for answering our questions and being here.
Oh, glad to be here.